Hi guys, hope everybody's having a good week. So the past couple days and the past week or two, we have been working on Unit 3, which is the third step in the problem solving process, develop solutions. So the first part of this was coming up with some thumbnail sketches for your car. You guys did that 2 weeks ago. You were supposed to have created 3 different side views, 3 different top views, and you were supposed to pick one side view and one top view that you wanted to actually use for your design. If you have not completed that assignment yet, you will need to go back and do that before you're able to complete this particular assignment. Last week, you were supposed to do a template for our final design sketch. So again, if you did not draw out the template, you're gonna need to go back and watch that video and get this done first. So we drew out our side view and we drew out our top view. A final design sketch is a drawing that is drawn out either full size or to scale. It has to follow all of the specifications or measurements for the project, and when you're done, you use it as a template to help you build your final product. So our design sketch is actually the same exact size as the car body that you would normally be receiving. So it's 10 inches long and it's 1/8 of an inch wide. So if you put it up to your paper, it should be exactly the same size. In the building process, the first step is to finish up your final design sketch. So this is a sample one that I had from previous semesters. I did a top view and a side view. When you're done with your final design sketch, you would normally cut those out. So it looks something like this. You would then trace them onto your car. So we would have our side view and our top view, and then you would be ready to start the building process. So the first step in the building process would be drilling the axle holes. The axle holes would be drilled through the side of your car. The metal axles would go through, and then it would hold each of your wheels onto the 4 sides of the car. The next step would be using a machine called the scroll saw to cut out your side view. You would use that same machine to do the next step, which is cutting out your top view. Once you have your top view cut out, then you would go back and use some of the wood files and different tools that I have to round all the corners of your car over, making it a little bit more aerodynamic. Once you have all the corners rounded over, we would typically get some sandpaper, we would sand it down, and then we would be ready to put the wheels on and race the car. Unfortunately, we're not gonna have a chance to do that, but I am gonna have you guys still create the final design sketch just so you get some experience doing that. This is also gonna be some really good practice of using your measuring skills. So you should, again, have your template completed. I'm gonna have my template posted in the announcements section again. The only thing you're gonna need to go back and do is fill in the measurements. So we're gonna fill in the acceptable ranges column, which we had previously left blank. So I'll have that picture there, you can just pull it up and you can go back and you can fill that in. Okay, once you have that filled in, you're gonna go ahead and get started on your final design. So again, this is the design that I chose, and this is what it would actually look like when it's built. So I cut a little bit of material out of the bottom, the front kind of comes to a point, the top view also comes to a point at the front, and then I cut a little bit of material out of each side. Okay, just so you know, this is the design that I'm using. Okay, we're gonna start with our directions down here at the bottom. So we're gonna begin with number 1. Under our specifications, it says car length, and then our acceptable ranges are going to be anywhere between 8 to 10 inches. Okay, so currently the car body you have is 10 inches in length. You could leave it at 10 inches, or if you want to make it a little bit shorter, that would be fine too. So let's say I want to make my car 9 inches. If I wanted to make it 9 inches, I would cut an inch of material off the front of the car. We do not want to cut anything off the back because the back's where the compressed air hole is. We don't want to cut through that or into it in any way. So I'm going to make mine 9 inches. So I'm going to write that in for my measurements right over here. And I'm going to make sure that both of these are exactly 9 inches. So when you do the length, I think it's actually easier to flip your paper upside down because you're going to be measuring from the back of the car going forward. So I'm going to line my ruler up right at the end of my top view. I'm going to mark 9 inches. and then I'm gonna go down to my side view and I'm gonna do the same exact thing. So I'm lining the ruler up all the way at the back. I'm marking 9 inches, and then I can just use my ruler. I can connect those marks, and then I'm just gonna shade out that first inch of material just to show that I'm cutting that off and getting rid of it. Okay, once you have completed step 1, you're gonna move on to step 2. Step 2 is going to be to place your back axle. Again, your axle holes are going to be cut or drilled through the side of your car. Your back axle has to be at least 3/4 of an inch from the back edge of your car, but it cannot be more than 2 inches away. So on our acceptable ranges, we're gonna write in 3/4 to 2 inches. Okay, you can pick any measurement within that range. I'm gonna go with a measurement of 1 inch. So my axle hole would be 1 inch from the back end of the car. Okay, when I actually draw it on my paper, I'm gonna be drawing it on my side view, and I am just going to represent it with a dot, and that dot is going to be on this line right here. That line has been pre-measured. It is 3/16 of an inch from the bottom of your car. That is the perfect height to drill your axle hole at. If you drill it up any higher, you would end up drilling through the compressed air hole. If you drill it down any lower, you're gonna end up drilling through the bottom of your car. So you wanna make sure it's right at 3/16. So I'm gonna actually flip my paper upside down one more time. I'm gonna line my ruler up at the back end of the car, and I'm gonna put a mark right at 1 inch. Okay, so that is representing my back axle hole. Okay, I'm gonna fill that in for my measurements under number 2. So it's gonna be 1 inch. Okay, moving on to number 3. Number 3 is going to be to place your front axle. So if we look at our specifications, it says that the distance between the axle holes should be between 5 to 7.5 inches, okay? So we wanna make sure that we leave at least 5 inches between the front and the back axle, but they can't be more than 7.5 inches apart. So you're gonna pick a measurement that falls within that range. I'm gonna go with 6 inches, and I'm gonna measure and mark that on my side view. So I'm flipping my paper upside down again. I'm lining my ruler up with my back axle. I'm gonna measure and put a mark right at 6 inches. Okay, once we have both of those axles drawn, the next thing that I'm gonna have you guys do is just project your axles into your top view. So this is very easy. You just wanna take your ruler, line it up as straight as you can, and you're gonna draw a line from your axle hole right down through your top view. We're gonna do that for the front and for the back axle. So that's basically showing where your wheels are going to be. Okay, so I'd have my front set of wheels here, and I would have my back set of wheels here. Okay, so if we're looking at this blue car, that would show the axle through the front and the axle through the back. We need to know where the axles are located because our next 2 specifications have to do with the body width at the back axle location and the body width at the front axle location. So basically what this is saying is that when you draw your top view, you kind of breaking it up into 3 sections. You can do whatever you want with the front. You could make it pointed, you could have it rounded at the front like this blue car, but you're not allowed to cut any material from this area right here where the front axle is. Same thing with the back axle. We have to make sure that we leave the width of the car at 1 1/8 of an inch. So we don't want it to be any thinner. So I'm gonna go ahead and start drawing my top view, and I'm gonna be shaping it like this. So I'm gonna have that point at the front. Okay, I wanna make sure that I stop when I get to the front axle. I'm not cutting any material from that area. I'm gonna cut a little bit out of each side. Okay, I want to make sure I stop before I get to the back axle. Then I can go back and I can take a little bit off of those back corners. Okay, when you draw your top view, you want to make sure you take your time. You want it to look nice and even and symmetrical. I would lightly sketch your design out first. Make sure it's even, then you can go back and you can darken up the lines a little bit. Okay, so we are good on numbers 4 and 5. Those are both going to be 1 and 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and on your actual specifications, you're gonna write in there for the acceptable ranges must be 1 and 1/8 of an inch. So that's gonna be the body width at the back axle location, body width at the front axle location. Okay, we are moving on to the last one, number 6. Number 6 tells you that you need to leave 1/8 of an inch of material around the compressed air hole. So that means when you draw your top view and when you draw your side view, you want to make sure that your design does not get too close to the compressed air hole. So this looks like it's a little bit close, so I'm just going to take my ruler, I'm going to measure, and I'm going to make sure that that distance is at least 1/8 of an inch. If it's closer than that, I would want to go back and move those lines out a little bit. So I'm exactly at 1/8 of an inch, which means I am good to go for number 6. So for number 6, as long as you meet that requirement, you can just go ahead and put a check mark there. So if we look at our specifications, you should write must leave 1/8 of an inch in the acceptable ranges column. Okay, last thing I'm gonna need to do is go back and just draw my side view. So my side view is going to look like this, where the front of the car is pointed. I'm cutting a little bit out of the bottom, cutting a little off the top, and then I'm gonna round out those 2 back corners. Okay, when you draw your side view, you wanna make sure that you do not cut any material from underneath of the axles. Those areas need to stay flat. If you cut under them, you're probably gonna end up cutting into the axle hole. You can cut between them, just not directly underneath. So I'm gonna start with the bottom, and I'm gonna cut a little bit out of the bottom of the car. Okay, next I'm gonna work on the front, so I want the front pointed. And then I'm gonna take a little bit off the back corner. Okay, and again, I wanna check this measurement, and I wanna make sure I leave 1/8 of an inch of space all the way around the compressed air hole. So I would wanna check this area right here. And we're at 1/8, so we are good to go on that. Okay, I want you to finish your drawing up. If you plan on cutting a hole out of your car, like this design here where they have a triangle cut out of the center, you can draw that in. And then I want you to just lightly shade it in so I know that that's cut the whole entire way through. Okay, if you are planning to hollow material out of your car, similar to this one here, where we have a bottom section hollowed out, remember you should be using a dotted line instead of a solid line to show that. Okay, so you need to complete your top view and your side view, and you need to make sure that you fill all of your measurements in that My Measurements column. So we have 6 different things here. Each of these specifications are going to be worth 4 points, so that's going to give you a total of 24 points for this project. When you are done, you can take a picture of it, and you just need to upload that to turn in your assignment. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. You have today and tomorrow to get this done. My office hours are on our announcements page, so you can check there. Okay, have a good day, guys.